We have a bike with an identity crisis. Hello, I'm Matt with Jenson USA, and I'm here with an Intense Spider Trail Pro. And I always say this bike is a little bit like a terrier. It's a little dog that thinks it's a big dog that's always looking for a fight, and that's kind of the nature of this bike. It's for the guy who can't decide, do I want a cross-country bike, do I want a trail bike? The answer is yes, you can get it all right here, and there's two different variations to roll with. This is the trail version. So the trail version is going to be 120 millimeters of travel at both ends, and it's going to come with a Fox 34 step cast fork. This upper end bike here has the factory version, which is very nice. If you opt for the XC bike, you're going to get 100 millimeters of travel at both ends, and you're going to get a 32 step cast up front. You could always convert your bike down the road. Both models use the same eye-to-eye length on the rear shock. It's just the stroke length that changes and kind of sets you up for what you're going to end up with as far as travel. And I think it's really clever that they've done that. When you lengthen the fork up front, you're also changing the geometry just a little bit. So I will tell you, whenever they built this bike, it was kind of the beginning of the downcountry movement, and everybody was talking about, hey, I want a bike that's really capable, that has geometry that feels really stable and confidence inspiring, but I want a bike that's lightweight, that's gonna climb as well, and that really suits the way that I ride. And so they were one of the first out there. I mean, this is a bike with a 66.5-degree head tube angle. So you might think it's your little brother's bike here in terms of suspension travel, but it is ready to go out and get after it. And I think the thing about the Sniper is its versatility. We're building this trail bike here as being just that, being a trail bike, but it's certainly something that you could show up and do some cross-country racing on. It's a really lightweight frame. You're looking at about 4.5 pounds for this frame, so it can do a lot of things, has a wide envelope in which it excels. When you talk about intense bikes, you really have to talk about JS tuned suspension. And JS Tuned, that stands for Jeff Stieber. He's the founder at Intense, and it's a variant of virtual pivot point technology, which has been around and just been refined for many years. And with the newest iteration, there's a lot more anti-squat property dialed in, so it really has a lot more mid-stroke support than these bikes have had in the past. And so you're gonna get sensitivity off the top. It's gonna track really well on all the small stuff, but you feel all that support once you get down to the sag point, and so it feels really efficient. And what I have noticed is there's just really no need for the lockout lever. Maybe on a long fire road climb or something, I put it in the middle setting. I'd never lock it out. I want that traction, and I think it really works the way it is. And to me, that is always the golden thing about VPP bikes. Is it's one of those designs where you get to your sag point, you actually utilize all that travel. You're not overinflating the shock or trying to overdamp the suspension to make it feel right. It's just really well thought out and well executed suspension. In terms of handling, it's really cool that you've got a really lightweight, flickable bike that you can throw around that still has this capable geometry where you're not afraid to go out and get after it, some rough stuff. So really think this is a great bike. Again, there's no surprises, nothing crazy that's thrown at you in terms of geometry numbers. We're looking at 439 millimeter chainstay length. So the rear center is not super short, it's not super long. It's designed just to track well and to keep you balanced and to be a bike that you enjoy riding. I already talked about it's got a 66.5-degree head tube angle. We're looking at about a 73.5, 74-degree seat tube angle, depending on if you're looking at the XC or trail version. What I found is with the shorter travel bikes, you're not sagging into the suspension as much on the climbing. You don't need that drastically forward position, and having a more middle of the road seat tube angle just gives it better all-around handling characteristics. So just a great package there, the way they started out. This one is also a great deal. I mean, because of Intense's sales model, you get this bike at $55.99, and I think it's a real value when you compare it to other bikes out there with this spec level. So this is the Pro model. It has that Fox 34 factory step cast fork up front that's paired to a Fox factory DPS shock in the back, so you get Kashima at both ends, which is great stuff. We're looking at DT M1700 wheels. These are just a workhorse wheel for them that do well. They put 2.35 Maxxis Forecaster tires on here, and it's funny, when they designed the Forecaster, it was kind of thought to be kind of a all conditions mud tire, but I find that it works really great here in the conditions that we have in Southern California. It's just sort of an aggressive XC or lightweight trail tire. I look at the rest of the cockpit and I say, man, you get a mixture of GX and X01 in the drivetrain, so a lot of value there, and some cool things. You're getting a KS LEV CI carbon dropper post, which is really light, and it's got a cool little carbon dropper lever here. You're getting a carbon intense handlebar with an intense stem. So you get carbon stylo Truvative crank. So I think a lot of value in the part spec. It's a lot of fun to ride, and I think if you're one of those folks that's out there on the fence between, do I want an XC bike or do I want a trail bike, this is a place where you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. So this bike comes in a box where it's ready to ride in 3 minutes or less. We've got gear advisors waiting on the phones to talk with you if you have more questions about it. Thanks, and keep pedaling.